Let's solve equations with variables on both sides that also may have the distributive property. So first step, you should recognize this. We're going to circle the variable. So this time you're going to have variables on both sides. So variables, we're going to add an S there. Draw a vertical line at the equal sign. That's going to split your equation into two sides. Identify what operation is being done. Then we'll do the inverse operation, which is also called the opposite. On both sides. There we go. The inverse operation. The inverse to add is subtract. The inverse to multiply is divide. The inverse to subtract is add. The inverse to division is to multiply. You're going to solve, box your answer, but also check using substitution. We also have a little checklist that we're going to use because we have variables on both sides. So the checklist says distribute first, that's to get rid of parentheses. Combine any like terms that you might have. Move the variable. You're going to move the variable before you move the constant. So usually what I like to do is I like to move the smaller variable. You can either decide to always move your variable to the left, or you can move the smaller one. You have to decide what is easier for you. So move the smaller variable to the other side. When you move the constant, you're going to move the constant to the other side. Move to opposite side of the variable. So whenever I say opposite, opposite to the variable. Because you want an equal sign between your variable and your constant. And then your last step is to multiply or divide. You did do some of this in 8th grade. So it's not new. All right, go ahead and turn to the next page. We have some examples we need to do. We're going to follow the steps. We're also going to follow this little checklist. Okay, first thing, circle your variables. Draw your line down your equal sign. Okay, there is no distributing, so we don't have to do anything. There is no combining like terms. We don't have to do that. So we are going to move the variable first. So we want to move the smaller one. So I look at them. I have a 3x on one side and a 2x on the other. So I'm going to move the smaller one. Smaller one's a 2x. So whatever it is, you do the opposite of it. So if it's a positive 2x, we're going to subtract 2x. Move the smaller one. So whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. And so what I want to do is put it underneath the like term. So the like term would be the other x right here. So 3x minus 2x, 1x plus 5 equals, the 2x's cancel because we subtract them and you get 0. So then we have equals 4. So we moved the variable. Now this is just a simple two-step equation. We want to move the constant to the other side. So see how the x is on the left side? I want the constants on the right. So I need to move this plus 5. Do the opposite. Minus 5. Go ahead and use your calculator if you need to. If you're good at your operations, you don't have to, but it's there for you if you need it. 4 minus 5. Minus 5. Negative 1. Then we have 1x equals negative 1. Do we need the 1x equals, like the 1x? So we could just write x equals negative 1. Before I put a box around it, I want to check my answer. This is, remember, where we sub it in. So we're going to sub in negative 1 for x. So look at our equation. 3x, well, x is negative 1 plus 5. I'm going to put that in to find out what it is. 3, parentheses, negative 1 plus 5. It's 2. So I'm going to say, okay, that's 2. I want this to be 2 also, but I don't have anything yet. So I'm going to put equal with a question mark. 2 times, what's x? Negative 1 plus 4. And I'm just getting this directly from our original equation and putting in what we got for x. So 2 parentheses, negative 1 plus 4. It also equals 2. So that tells me that we did it correctly. We just checked it. So now we can put a box around our answer. All right, let's go to number 2. Draw your line down your equal sign. Circle your variables. This one does have parentheses, so that means we do need to do some distributive property. What are we distributing though? Negative 3. So let's do that. Negative 3 times 2n. Negative 3 times 2. You can put that in the calculator. Negative 3 times 2. Negative 6n. But don't forget, you're also distributing it to the negative 3. So negative 3 times negative 3. Yep. So plus 9 equals 25 minus 8n. I want to circle my variables again. Now look at your variables. We have negative 6 and a negative 8. Which one is smaller? Negative 8. Think about negatives as your, like, you owe somebody money. You borrowed money, owing $6 versus owing $8. The smaller one is owing 8. So we need to do the opposite. So we're going to add 8 in. So negative 6 plus 8. What do we get? Negative 6 plus 8. 2. So we have 2n plus 9 equals 25, because those cancel. Oh, that looks like such an easier problem now. Thank goodness. Okay, we still want to solve. So we have our n here, so we need to move the constant. The constant's the one that doesn't have a variable at all. So we want to move the plus sign to the other side by doing the opposite. Minus 9. Two n equals 25 minus 9. What is it? 16. What's our last step? Divide by 2 all the way through. 8. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the checking in the calculator instead of writing it out. I'm going to type in the left side. So y'all do this with me. Negative 3 parenthesis. 2 times, what did we say n was? 8. I put it in a parenthesis. So 2 parentheses 8, close the parentheses. Minus 3, close parentheses. So I'm saying check. So whenever I plug it in, I get a negative 39. So I also need to plug it in over here and see if I get a negative 39. Did I do everything right? Okay. So 25 minus 8 times 8. That also equals negative 39. So we just checked it. Put your little check mark showing that you found what the left side and the right side equal. They're equal, so that means we did the right thing. We got it done. So for checking work, I won't make you write this out anymore, but I do want you to write what they equal when you sub it in. The left side and the right side should be the same. If they're not, then you did something wrong. You need to go back. Okay, let's go to number 3, our last full example that we need to do. Ooh, this looks like fun. Lots of things to do. So our first thing is to distribute. Let's multiply 11 times everything inside. 11 times 4. 11 times negative 6. Negative 66y equals. Now we need to distribute what? Negative 5. Negative 5 times 13. What is it? Negative 5 times 13. Negative 65. Y. And then negative 5 times 1. Negative 5. Carry down the plus 9. Okay, so we distributed. That was the first thing on our checklist. What's the second thing that we need to do on our checklist? Look back at the front real quick. Combine like terms on the same side of the equal sign. So the left side, we just have a constant and a y term. The right side, we have a y term and then 2 constants. So we need to combine these guys. Negative 5 plus 9. Positive 4. Okay. We're going to carry everything else down. All right, seems like we have big numbers, but it's going to be okay. We can do this. So we want to move the smaller y. So which one's smaller, negative 66 or negative 65?
Negative 66.
Yeah, so we want to do the opposite. So plus 66y plus 66y. So if you're not sure which one's smaller, you think about it as money. Negative means you owe somebody money. Negative 65 plus 66. 1. 1y plus 4. Okay, I need to get the constant to the other side. So my y is over here, so I need to move the constant that's on that same side. So see how we have plus 4? Yep. (44 minus 4? 40 equals. Do I need to put 1y or can I just put y? Yeah, let's do that. That was a tough one. Okay, so let's plug in to see what our left side equals and what our right side equals to make sure they equal the same. Okay, so we'll do 11. Y'all do this with me. Check your answer with me. 11, parenthesis, 4 minus, make sure you use the minus button, not the negative button. 6 times 40, Close your parentheses. See if you get the same thing as me. Negative 2,596. Okay. Negative 2,596. Let's see if it equals the other side. Negative 5. So a lot of people get confused with, do I put a negative or minus? Well, it depends on how you're saying it. If this is a negative 5, I'm going to use the negative button. If it's a minus 5, like 2 minus 5, then I'd use the minus button. So negative 5, parentheses, 13 times 40 plus 1, close parentheses, plus 9. Oh, it's the same. Check it. Put a little check mark there. And y is 40. All right, we have 2 special cases. So write that up at the top, special cases. So we have a no solution, we have infinite solution. So no solution means when you solve an equation with variables on both sides, eliminating variables completely, leaving an untrue statement, the equation has no solution. All right, so let's look at this problem that's already been solved for us. First step, they distributed the 2. So go ahead and show that. When it's distributed, that just changes to 8x plus 10. So now we have this. What do you notice about the variables? Do we have a smaller one? They're the exact same. So we just subtract them. And that actually eliminates it. If you have a positive and a negative of the same sign, those are called identities, and they equal 0. And all we have left is negative 6 equals 10, but that is false, which actually means this is a no solution. 0 with a slash means no solution. So whenever you have the exact same variable on both sides and it leaves something that is false, then it's no solution. So you can write out the word no solution, or you can put a 0 with a slash. This just means there's no value of x that'll make it true. All right, infinite solutions is the other special case. It says when you solve an equation with variables on both sides and eliminate the variables completely, leaving a true statement, then it has infinite number of solutions. So let's look. It's a little bit the same but kind of different. So let's show that they distributed as our first step. But then you're left with 8x minus 6 equals 8x minus 6. What do you notice about the sides? They're the exact same. We're able to subtract the 8x, and you're left with negative 6 equals negative 6. That is true. So that means infinite solutions. Or you might see it as identity. Infinite is that sideways 8, infinity.